We tend to think of disease as a simple chain of events. A pathogen infects a host, and disease follows. But what if that pathogen is infected too? Today, we're exploring viruses that infect parasites. These hidden viruses can influence how diseases develop, how severe they become, and even how they respond to treatment. I'm your host, Kaylee M., and you are listening to Viral Ventures. When we think about viruses, we usually imagine them infecting humans, animals, or plants. But viruses don't stop there. They can infect almost every species on Earth. There's my personal favorite, bacteriophages, which are viruses that infect bacteria. There are even virophages, or viruses that infect other viruses. So in that context, viruses infecting parasites isn't as strange as it sounds. But what is strange is that these viruses can affect us without ever infecting our cells. Before we dive deeper, let's just briefly define what a parasite virus is. Some unicellular parasites, especially protozoans, can themselves be infected by viruses. Unlike viruses you might typically imagine, these parasite viruses don't kill the cells they infect. Instead, they form stable, almost commensal relationships with them. This means the virus gets to exist and replicate inside the parasite, while the parasite is not obviously harmed. So when a human gets infected, this creates a three-layered interaction: the human host, the parasite, and the virus inside the parasite. You can almost imagine this like one of those Russian nesting dolls, one of those dolls that have little dolls inside of them. The largest one is us, inside of that is the parasite, and inside of the parasite is the virus. Even though the virus is buried deep at the center, it can still influence what happens at the outermost layer. So can a virus affect human disease without ever infecting human cells? As it turns out, the answer is yes. Let's start with Trichomonas vaginalis, the parasite responsible for trichomoniasis. I know it sounds like I'm casting a Harry Potter spell, but trichomoniasis is just a very common sexually transmitted infection. Many strains of what is abbreviated as T. vaginalis are infected with a virus called Trichomonas vaginalis virus. These viruses use double-stranded RNA, or dsRNA, as their genetic material. We also have RNA in our cells, but most RNA in our cells is single-stranded. Because dsRNA is unusual in human cells, the immune system treats it as a warning sign of viral infection. When infected parasites die, whether that's naturally or after treatment, they release viral material. This is recognized by the toll-like receptor 3, or TLR3. You can think of this receptor as a fire alarm sensor. When it detects double-stranded RNA, it sets off the alarm, triggering inflammation and bringing in immune cell first responders. That's helpful at first, but if the alarm keeps going off, more and more immune cells keep arriving. And just like in a real emergency, too many responders can start to cause problems, blocking normal function, damaging tissue, and making the situation worse instead of better. So even though the virus never infects human cells, it can still increase inflammation, enhance immune activation, and worsen symptoms overall. This creates a bit of a paradox in treatment. When you treat the parasite, it can release viral material, which boosts inflammation and makes symptoms worse, ultimately going against the very thing the treatment was trying to do. So that's one example of where a virus inside a parasite can make disease worse, but it's not the only one. Let's now turn to Leishmania, a parasite that causes leishmaniasis, a disease that ranges from causing mild skin lesions to very severe systemic infections. Some Leishmania species carry a virus called Leishmania RNA virus. Like Trichomonas vaginalis virus, it also contains dsRNA, but the effects of it can be much more severe. The viral RNA activates immune pathways, again involving receptors like TLR3, and can lead to a strong immune system response. This brings more immune cells to the site of infection, but those are the very cells that the parasite infects. So instead of stopping the infection, the immune response is actually luring the immune cells straight to the parasite, allowing infection to spread. Talked about how these parasite viruses can make disease worse for us, but it's not all bad news. In some cases, scientists can actually use the virus inside a parasite as a marker to find the parasite itself. One example of this is Cryptosporidium parvum, and at this point I promise I'm not just listing off spells. This is a parasite that can contaminate water supplies. Detecting it in these water supplies can usually be very difficult. However, these parasites can carry Cryptosporidium parvum virus. Instead of detecting the parasites directly, researchers can detect viral components, like its capsid protein, as an indirect signal that the parasite is present. So in this case, the virus actually helps us in identifying the parasite more effectively. So overall, what's the key takeaway here? These viruses challenge the idea that viruses have to infect us directly in order to affect us. In these systems, viruses are acting almost like hidden influencers, shaping how another pathogen behaves. These viruses also open the door to new treatments. If viruses contribute to disease severity, then maybe we should target those viruses alongside the parasite as well. To wrap up, viruses of parasites represent a hidden layer of infection that we're only beginning to understand. These viruses don't just exist passively, they actively shape disease through their interaction with the host immune system. So sometimes, the thing making you sick isn't acting alone. Thank you for listening to Viral Ventures, and I'll catch you in the next one.